Good afternoon. I just thought I'd talk a little bit. Thank you for coming. I was thinking about today and I thought maybe I'll just go back to the very, very basics and talk about what early Buddhism talks about as shamatha vipassana practice. And because there is sometimes today you hear a lot of discussion about vipassana practice, but in the early sutras they were never split. It was always shamatha vipassana as a single phrase. And the reason is the shamatha side. The shamatha side refers to concentration. So in Sanskrit and Pali, if you see the S-A-N or S-A-M root, it always means to gather. Sangha, samadhi, shamatha, these words all refer to a kind of gathering of something together. So shamatha practice is the gathering of the mind. Come on in. And vipassana, the vipassana side is the building the capacity to identify the phenomena that arise in experience. So whatever's arising in experience and falling away. And the reason we focus on looking at what's arising in experience and falling away is to understand the causes and conditions of our experience. So if there's something arising in the mind, why is it arising in the mind? What is causing it to arise in the mind? Now, why are these two hyphenated? Why are they always together? Because it's very, very difficult to have a stable witness to what is arising and falling in the mind if the mind hasn't learned to concentrate. And it's also very difficult for the mind to concentrate if it doesn't have the capacity to understand its causes and conditions. So in other words, if we have something that's arising and distressing us all the time, if we don't understand the causes and conditions of that, we'll get caught up in it and it's difficult for the mind to concentrate. In turn, if we don't build up the capacity for the mind to concentrate through breath meditation, we can't see causes and conditions. Okay, so the two sit together all the time. So there is this, so when we talk about focusing on the breath, we're talking about building concentration, which is why most traditions start with breath, because there has to be this building of concentration. But what we'll probably notice, and we'll sit for a little while with this, what we may notice is what usually pulls us away from breath is some sort of thinking, some sort of thing that's happening with the mind, right? And so when that happens, if we're just caught up in it, and we don't have the stability to look at it, but it just has us, then we come back to the breath until we build the stability to be able to look. And then when the stability to look is there, then sometimes we might decide, okay, I'm going to look and see what's going on here. But if it just has us by the reins, it's important to always return to the breath again and again and again until we have the stability of mind to look. So the very simple practice that we're going to do for, let's say, 20 minutes is to, first of all, let's feel our breathing for a second and find where we feel it at the deepest point in our body. For some it may be the chest, for some it may be the belly, for some it may be, even deeper than that. Where's the deepest point you feel your breath? And just identify that point. And so when we say, in this meditation, when we say bring our mind back to the breath, we're bringing our mind back to that deepest point in the body, that we feel the breath moving. Okay, so we have a sense, and there is no right spot. Wherever it is for you is the spot. And so you're going to bring your mind back to the breath. If we notice ourselves being pulled away by thought, we might notice what those thoughts are for a moment and name them, but then come back to the concentration. And we're just going to keep doing that. And so our relationship to thought is not to take it personally, not to fret over it, but just to notice it, notice what it is, and come back to the breath. Okay? So we will do that for about 20 minutes, and let's really take the concentration seriously, because the concentration on the breath is what quiets the mind and body. So it's almost 12:30 for people who need to go, and if anybody has any thoughts, you're welcome to share them, or questions, or just anything that came up around sitting today. And feel free to stand up and go as you need to. Yes. Inhalation to exhalation.
Yeah, the ratio of inhalation to exhalation. I know in different practices there's different things, but is there a happy medium? Should we not be conscious of that? Or is it just dependent upon the intention?
Yeah. I think depending on the intention has a lot to do with it, what you're hoping for. In a lot of traditions, they just say, let your breath be natural, however it is. However, if you extend the exhalation, it calms the body and mind down. So, in fact, this is a funny word to use, but one of the quickest ways to really calm the body and mind is to exhale all of the breath out of your lungs completely. You may already know this. You exhale it out completely, and then you do a little at the end to make sure there's no breath left, and then you wait until the inhalation happens of its own, without your will, because the breath will take care of itself. And in that space between the exhalation and the inhalation, the mind, in most people's experience, the mind cannot think. The thoughts go completely quiet. And if you do that 3 or 4 times, the whole system calms down. So it's kind of a useful little trick to have during your day when things get a little elevated. But certainly it seems that a longer exhalation quiets the mind and body. Yeah.
Thank you. And when we're kind of doing the exhalation before that final pull, would you say we even are contracting a little bit of the abdomen, and then whatever we have left, we're pushing out?
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Being gentle.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you. That's helpful.
And what if the causes and conditions that come to mind are lack of sleep?
Then that is what they are. And probably for a lot of us, that's the case. Yeah, and if it's lack of sleep and you're nodding off, if you're lack of sleep and you're nodding off, sometimes you really just, if it were a long retreat, I'd just say stand up, because sometimes it's hard to, meditation shows us we need sleep lots of times, yeah.
Do you have any recommendations for the saliva that continues to generate? That's something that I think for me, I have to go back to this material reality of the saliva. I have to swallow it again.
Yeah.
I have to suck it in, or swallow it and then go back to it. But is there any sometimes I will suck as much out and then get that all the air out. But then I think that causes a conscious presence. But any idea of how to work with our saliva generation?
Where this sound is, la 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 la